What's going on, y'all? It's Nico's World here, back with another video, and today I am going to get into it with Lars' stances. I apologize for the lack of uploads lately. I've just been very busy with other things, you know, so I'm going to try to get back into the groove of things, but one thing that I read a lot from you guys in the comment section is you were struggling to make people respect Lars's stances, right? And I've seen in the comments, you know, people asking me, Nico, how do you get people to respect you so much? Well, a lot of it comes down, like I've talked about this before in my previous videos, a lot of it comes down to conditioning your opponent and mixing it up of when you go into stance and when you don't go into stance, right? So, for example, right? So if you're attacking your opponent, right? You're doing all these things, you're just attacking your opponent. Sometimes you have to be willing to give up your turn, right? So, like forward 1-2, hold back, forward 2-1, hold back. You know, because you have to get your opponent to kind of, you have to make it, like when you go into stance, you kind of have to make it a 50-50 if your attempts to go into stance on block is blocked, right? So like, I didn't go into stance. Now I went into stance. Didn't go into stance. Didn't go into stance. Now go into stance, you know? So, again, this comes down with conditioning, and sometimes with Lars, and I'm gonna let you guys know this right now, Lars is not a pressure character. That's not his forte. That's not his greatest strength. You can get pressure going, but that is not what his strength is. Lars is a stance heavy character and a mix-up heavy character. He's a 50-50 machine and a stance machine, right? But getting your opponent to respect you, that I had struggled with this before when I was going on my journey of learning Lars, and it can be difficult to get people to respect you. But one thing that I have seen a lot of Lars players, they don't do this. Silent entry 4. I've seen so many Lars players not utilize this move, and the reason why you should be using this move is because it is a 17 frame high power crush that you know, you can absorb the hit and essentially hit your opponent, right? So you need to be taking advantage of this. I use this move a lot because if they're not fast enough, then they're gonna eat the Power Crush. And how they buffed and nerfed this move at the same time, because this used to be a launcher in Tekken 7, but it's not anymore. But it is faster now. This used to be, I believe, 22 frames-ish, around there, in Tekken 7, but now it's 17 frames in Tekken 8. So it's faster. So what you need to be utilizing his silent entry form more. If you think that your opponent, like let's say you go in a stance on block, right? If you think your opponent is not going to respect you, or if you think that they're going to press a button, use this move. That's what this move is for. It's a Power Crush. Absorbs hits and hits your opponent. Yes, it is a high. There is a weakness to it. They can duck and launch you for it, but you do have to be willing to use this move sometimes, because you have to show them that this Power Crush exists. This is in my toolkit. You know, so you have to make them think twice about disrespecting this, because if you're just doing, you know, a bunch of things on block, they're not going to respect that. They're going to press a button. They're going to do something, right? So you need to be able to utilize this move. And you need to be able to, willing to take the risk if this gets ducked, because, you know, people are so willing to disrespect Lars in his stance. Well, you have to use this. This is what this is for. You know, and it's still good because it wall splats. Let me see. There you go. So it's good. It's a good move, and it wall splats from a fair distance away. But I don't see a lot of Lars players utilizing his silent entry for it. So try to take advantage of that. It makes your opponent think twice about pressing a button because of that Power Crush. So I utilize that move a lot. Use it when you think that they're going to disrespect you, or if you think that they're going to press, you know, when you go into stance on block. Another thing, this will benefit you heavily as a Lars player, because one of Lars's greatest strengths is his block punishment, right? So you need to go into punishment training and recognize these moves that your opponent uses and take advantage of, you know, the block punishment. And the reason why block punishment will benefit you heavily as a Lars player is because when you punish something correctly, now you're going into stance with plus frames. You know? So now they kind of have to guess now. They have to deal with this mix-up. You know? So you want to be utilizing block punishment training, and I suggest you do this for every character. I already have prior knowledge of punishment in Tekken 7, and it just kind of carried over in Tekken 8. But this is just when it comes with time in the lab and practice mode. So don't be lazy with this, guys. You have to take advantage of this. Know what's minus 17. Know what's minus 12. Know what's minus 13. You know, what's minus 15. Like this is where this will help you as the Lars player, because then you can get into stance with plus frames, which is what you want. So take advantage of punishment training. Punishment training is your best friend. Go in the lab, look at every single character, access punishment training, and do it for everyone. Do not be lazy with this, because you will only stand to benefit from this. So definitely take advantage of punishment training. It's helped me. And me personally, I like to lab. I like looking at the numbers and everything. So if you want to go deeper, which is what I do, is I switch characters and I just go through the entire move list and look at the numbers on block. You know, find out what the -10s are, find what the -12s are, find what the -14 is, find all of that. Because every time you see somebody do something that's punishable on block and you don't punish it correctly, you are only hurting yourself. You are only hurting yourself as the player. You want to know what is punishable on block. Trust me, it will make you that much scarier and that much harder to deal with if you know what to punish against your opponent. Know thy enemy. So the person you're fighting, if you know what is punishable, you're gonna make this person, you're gonna be difficult to deal with. So definitely go into punishment training, take advantage of that. Yeah, so take advantage of his power crush. Use this move if you think that they're gonna disrespect you. Another thing is, and I've said this before in my other videos, I've seen a lot of Lars players do this. They get too greedy with silent entry. So what I mean by that is that every time you do this or something, I always see Lars players do this. They always go into silent entry. They never just back off and wait a second. They always go into silent entry. And I've said this before in my previous videos, dynamic entry is a defensive stance. This is a defensive stance. When you go back, you're taking a defensive position. You want to see how your opponent reacts in this when you create space, because when you create space off of his while standing 2 down, the whole purpose of this move is to create distance and make your opponent overextend themselves, right? So sometimes, for example, right? So like, let me show you, because I fought a Lars player recently, and I'll give you a prime example of what I mean. Right, so I would do something like that. I would catch him like that, right? And what he did in response is he would orbital. But the thing is that I didn't do anything, but you just whiffed in front of my face. So allow people, the whole point of this stance is to make people overextend themselves, to make them run right into something. So you want to take advantage of this stance. Too many Lars players forget about this stance. They don't utilize this stance enough after his while standing 2 down. And again, how I said before, they get too greedy with silent entry because they just want to attack. No. Sometimes you just need to be on the defensive. Be on the defensive a little bit. Sometimes it's okay to give up your turn. Or, I mean, you're not even, in this situation, you're not technically giving up your turn. You just, if your opponent does nothing and he's backing away, all you did then in that situation is you reset the neutral. So now nobody's at an advantage. So now you're just playing the neutral game again. And that's fine. That's okay. You don't always need to go apeshit crazy pressure. That's not always the best move to do, because if you're always going into silent entry and they're expecting you to do that, you're gonna get hit if you use silent entry too recklessly. Don't forget about dynamic entry. Too many Lars players don't utilize this stance enough. Don't forget about dynamic entry. So when you do this, if you want to play it the safer way, sometimes what I like to do is just this, his dynamic entry 1, because it recovers very fast. So even if since it recovers really fast, if my opponent didn't do anything, this is very difficult to punish because of the recovery. It recovers so fast, But if it connects, you're +8 in their face if this connects. So it is definitely your turn. Boom, if this hits. You know? So utilize this stance a little bit more, you know? Or be willing to just kind of not press for a second. And another thing I do that I catch people is I do catch people with this a lot. If I do get, it's kind of a feeling I get, I guess you could say. I mean, I've been playing Lars for so long, so I kind of just, it's a feeling I get, and I kind of watch you, like as I'm backing away, if I kind of see you advance even like a little bit, I have gotten value out of this. But you do want to be careful with this because you can absolutely get whiff punished for this. But you can delay it. You know, you can delay it for a very long time. You can delay all of that for a very long time, right? So, yeah, that's one thing you can do to try to get value out of this. And sometimes another thing I like to do is I talked about this before in my other videos. I just like to do this from the neutral. What I like to call this is a size up. So essentially, when I'm far away from my opponent, I like to just kind of dance around the stage. You know? I like to dance around the stage, and the reason that the whole purpose I do this, and I've showed this, you've seen this in my other Lars videos if you watch them. The reason I do this is because I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. So me personally, I like basketball. I've played basketball in high school, and a lot of times what I like to do is I like to size. You know, it's a size up. So I'm kind of like trying to measure out the distance, you know, and just kind of, I'm trying to make you make a mistake. You know, I'm kind of trying to make you overextend yourself, you know? So you'd be surprised how much value I've gotten out of that. Just doing shit from a distance. You know, just kind of just dancing around in the neutral. You know, I've gotten more value out of it than you think. I've seen some people in my comments saying, "Oh, you know, nice dancer. You know, I like the way you dancing." And you know, and I'm sizing. But what I'm is a reason to my madness, right? Like I'm sizing up my opponent. You know, because like usually when people see me dance around and just doing a bunch of shit, they're like move in and then they back off. They move in and back off because it looks like I'm like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, what am I doing? Like, and they're just like, oh, whoa, what is he doing? I'm just sizing you up. And then when I kind of feel like, and it's kind of like conditioning you from a distance, I guess you could say. Like, I'm kind of just, you know, I'm just like, just dancing around. And people sometimes advance, and then when they see me doing shit, they just back off for a minute. And then when I see you back off, I might go in, you know, or I might like, now's my chance, you know, like I move around, dance, you know, dance around, dash up, cancel it, dash up, cancel it, dash up, maybe a low, you know, just dance around. This character is a dancer, essentially. He's just, you know, he got the spins, so move around. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of his built-in movement. Move around. I mean, yeah, you know, you could play the neutral. and just, you know, do all of this, but yeah, you know, mess around, have some fun. Another thing that I do is I access silent entry in the neutral. And the reason being why is sometimes it's better to access silent or you know, silent entry or stances in the neutral in general is because it's not on block, right? So they can't just jab you out of that. They can't just press out of that, you know? Because the reason being is because if you do this, your fastest button, and it's a mid, is Lars' silent entry 1. There is no way in hell that they're gonna be able to disrespect that unless maybe they power crush if they see you coming in. But if they power crush, let's say you do the low, right? And let's say they power crush. Now that's a counter hit launcher. You know, or you could power crush their power crush. You know, so sometimes just do it in the neutral. Just do it in the neutral. And you can make it a 50-50 from a distance. But, you know, I've seen a lot of large players just go, I mean, I do it too sometimes, but not all the time. But I've seen a lot of large players do, you know, go into stance on block, which is what you want to try to avoid as much as possible. But I mean, I do it too, I'm not gonna lie, but don't forget that you could just do it from the neutral. You could, because look at how much distance Lars closes from his back 3 forward. He closes a lot of distance, and you know, they're gonna have to guess. They still have to guess. If they're gonna step, you have that. This is your fastest button from this stance. If they're gonna power crush, you have this, and if they eat that, that's a counter hit launcher. And also, this high again is a power crush. You know, so you want to take advantage of just going into stance in the neutral. The only time, again, and I've talked about this before in my other videos, I struggle with this as well. Rage. You need to keep in mind when your opponent is in rage. So when your opponent is in rage, doing this is a bad idea. Unless they have like little to no health, don't do this. I would definitely do not do this in the neutral because it's again, rage arts will beat every single option, right? I mean, you can maybe try to do this and then back off really quick to maybe bait them into doing it. Still, that is very risky because there's characters that have long hitting rage arts, so I still wouldn't do that. I would just play the neutral game. I mean, as annoying rage arts are, they do warrant some respect. It is a threat. It's a really annoying. It is a really annoying threat, but you have to respect it. It does warrant some respect. So always keep in mind when your opponent is in rage. Another thing large players forget is that this move, right? Rebellion. Don't forget, I mean, it's a gimmick and they can disrespect it, but if they disrespect this, remember, if you press forward, his silent entry 1 is a launcher. Right? So if they disrespect this, that will beat, you know, for the most part, anything that they do. But again, this comes down to conditioning your opponent. Once you have them conditioned, guess what? Now they have to guess again. So now, and this was in Lars' trailer, reveal trailer when he did this. You know, so take advantage of limited entry transitions. You know, when you kind of see them when you have them conditioned, I should say. Because now they have to guess between a low follow-up for 35 damage, you know, and a mid that's a launcher that bounds automatically. You know, you can do this the regular stuff, I mean, you won't get as big as a reward off of his low from silent entry, but I mean, this mix-up is still a good mix-up. But the whole purpose of this transition is to make them like, whoa, like, what is he doing now? You know? So yeah, try to take advantage of that. 2, his limited entry stance is, it's evasive. Both of these options crush highs. So they have to, if they're gonna disrespect this, they can't just like jab or, you know, they have to do a mid. And they have to be quick about it. You know, they don't have all day to react to that. And it has to be a mid because both of these options crush highs. So try to take advantage of that. Another thing you want to be taking advantage of. So let's say you hit your opponent with silent entry 2, right? And usually what Lars players do is they'll do this and go back, and then they'll go back into silent entry. But keep in mind, or they'll do this into grab, which is totally valid. I do that too. It's good. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of Lars players, they don't use his while standing 3. And the reason why this is good is because this is +4 on block. So I went from +6 to +4, and now you have to guess again. And again, you can't jab. You can only dick jab in this situation to stop Lars from doing something, from limited entry. But if you think that they're gonna jab, you could still, whoops. You can still sidestep, or you could do an orbital. So those are totally valid options, but don't forget about his while standing 3, because when you do Lars' silent entry 2, you're crouched. So if you do 3 and press down, now you're +4 in their face. You know, so try to take advantage of his while standing 3. You could do it from limited entry. You know, you could do it, and you could do it from silent entry, or not silent entry. You could do it from silent entry 2. I mean, actually, you can do it if you transition into this. You know, you do it like that, but again, this all comes with conditioning and making them respect your stances. You have to make them respect your stances, and how you make them do this. This move will help. This move will help you do that. Block punishment will help you do that. And being unpredictable when you go into stance on block will help you do that. So maybe just do this and hold back and don't do anything. Maybe do this and hold back and don't do anything. Maybe do it again. Maybe do it a 3rd time. Oh, stance. If they don't react fast enough, this is your fastest button. And if you still think that they're gonna press, they have to be quick about it, but you can still use this. You know, so there's things you can do. There's things you can do to make people respect Lars' stances. You just have to, I'd say, utilize his silent entry 4 more. Learn more about block punishment. Hold back after certain attacks that make him go into stance. That way, they don't know when you're gonna go into stance. Be unpredictable. You know, don't always do this. Don't always do this. Sometimes just do this. Sometimes just do this. Sometimes just do this. You don't need to always go into stance. Sometimes you can just poke at them a little bit, you know, and do moves like that. And then when you think that they're kind of conditioned, go for it. You know, sometimes do this. Throw this out a couple times. Next time, maybe pull this off. Lars is all about conditioning. You have to make them respect your stances. Sometimes do this from the neutral, and now they still have to guess. They can step, but that's what this is for. Okay? So there are ways to get your opponent to respect your stances, and you've seen how I've pulled it off. It's possible, but from what I've seen from certain other Lars players is that they get too greedy with pressure. They get too greedy with just wanting to just go into stance constantly on block and just do things. You have to earn that respect first. You have to make them respect this, because if you haven't shown them like, hey, I got this on me, I got these attacks on me to stop you from doing something, then they're not gonna respect you. You have to make them respect you. If you don't make them respect you, they're not gonna respect you. All right? So you have tools to make them do that. You just have to know how to utilize those tools. You've heard it from me. These are just some ways that I get my opponent to respect my stance transitions. And yeah, that's gonna be it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I will get back into the uploading flow of things, but I've just been extremely busy lately. But again, thank you guys for the love and support. You will see more of me. Yeah, thanks for watching. Guys. Appreciate it. See you in the next video.